Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Cheeky Garage. Tommy here again. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into what it takes to put big brakes on a Chevrolet S10. One quick thing, I just hit 200 subs. Thanks everybody. That's a big step at here at Cheeky Garage, my little YouTube channel. Big shout out to Robbie over at United by Trucks. He featured my little 2-minute segment on my truck, and man, a whole bunch of people came over and started following along. So thanks UBT. Anybody that's new, you know, hey, welcome. You know, I hope you enjoy what you see. But anyways, kind of bear with me in this video. It's gonna be a little choppy. It's not, you know, this kind of took about a week of kind of working through brakes and staying a little late at work, getting little bits knocked out here and there at a time. But if you've ever wondered what it takes to put big brakes on an S10, you're gonna learn today. All right, so I'm here at the shop. I attempted to take the rotor to the vertical bandsaw, and then that kind of was taking forever. It was working well, but it was taking a long time. And then I was reminded we have a plasma cutter. We never used the damn thing, so I kind of forgot about it. So we're gonna give that a shot. Boom, just like that. The meat is off. Now we gotta turn these down on the lathe. Boom, there they are. We have former S10 brake rotors, now S10 hubs for slip fit Camaro rotors. Like a glove. Just have to they've been sandblasted. I left the old inner races in because I knew I'd be blasting them. I didn't want to screw up that, you know, where that seats. So I need to just clean the hell out of them, get all the sand, you know, what grease is left, get them cleaned out really good with some brake cleaner. And I'm probably going to hit them like with some caliper paint or something just to be safe as far as temperature goes. But that's it. Now I got to do the caliper brackets. back here in the garage. This is the spindle. All the work is done to the spindle now. This is saw cut all the extra meat off. The unneeded in the way stuff, part of the spindle is gone. Just clean it up with a flap disc. I did not, I didn't go crazy and take every little bit off to get it nice and round to the raised bosses. In my mind, my thought process was I want as much meat as I can leave around these bosses. I don't want to cut it down to absolutely nothing. So, it might not be super pretty and factory looking, whatever, but you'll never see it. And I'd rather have as much meat left around that stuff as I can get. So that was my reasoning for that. I've already gone ahead and tapped, drilled these out, drilled these two dust cover, they're originally dust cover bolts. I drilled those out to 13/32 of an inch and then tapped M12 by 1.75, which is the same size as the abutment bracket holes. So if GM thinks that is suitable to hold the abutment bracket in place, I think it's suitable for the bracket that holds the bracket in place. Here we have the water jetted brackets. Guys, we just got that water jet at work and we're all still learning how to use it. That's pretty much the only reason why I chose to use the water jet. I was fully anticipating during the planning of this build that I was just gonna cut these out on like a vertical bandsaw. And I do have access to a mill, so I could get these holes pretty accurate. But we got a water jet, so why not use a water jet? I feel very blessed and lucky to have access to a tool like that now. Anyways, the brackets, I had to make them out of 3/8 because due to all of the quarantining, my local metal supply is closed to like walk-ins. If you were a commercial customer, they're still doing deliveries and stuff, but me, average Joe, can't just walk in and get some 5/16 plate at the moment. So I had this 3/8 laying at the house. I will have to mill it down. It is too thick, but I wanted to keep moving forward as much as I could. So my brackets are 3/8 for now. Another thing, I had just put the bracket up, made my lines to cut it, and then I don't want to take any more meat off, and this M12 hardware, this one goes. This one, you can see, I couldn't rotate that bolt if I wanted to. So instead of taking more meat off, I have some socket head cap screws on order. Again, my local Fastenal, can't walk in and just get bolts anymore right now. So I've got bolts on order. They should be here the next couple days. And this is why the 3/8 bracket won't work. You can see we are pretty much touching. You might be able to get some feeler gauge in there, but we're pretty much touching the abutment bracket here. And then we've got all kinds of room up there. So we need to take the bracket, mill it down, effectively half of this distance. And then we should be good. It should be about 5/16 thick. All right, we're mounted on the truck. We've got the hubs painted with some caliper paint, new shiny dust caps, new wheel bearings, and races, all packed with grease, ready to go. The bracket, it's still 3/8. For the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna end the video. There's still gonna be 3/8 with our new funky schedule at work. I don't go back to work for another like 4 days, so instead of keeping y'all waiting for demonstration purposes, they're still 3/8, but please know I will be milling them down. 5/16 is optimum. We do have the new socket head cap screws, and they do exactly what I want them to do. They leave me plenty of room to spin the fastener without having to take more meat off the spindle. Those socket head cap screws are an M12 by 1.75, 25 millimeters long, and then the I'm just keeping with the hex head. I already had them. Those are M12 by 1.75, 30 millimeters long. So now that it is tight, you can see that with 3/8 it does spin smooth. It does not make contact, but it is very close. So I'll be taking about a 1/16 off of that. This is a it's from Power Stop, but it's pretty much just a stock replacement Camaro caliper. This is a stock replacement brake line for, in my case, a 1993 Chevrolet S10. Stock end on it. I found it works perfect, indexed kind of perpendicular to the caliper. Stock S10 hose with a Camaro banjo bolt, and works no problem. And there it is. Camaro Brakes, big brake upgrade for a 2-wheel drive Chevrolet S10. Here's what we're looking like on the back side. Looks like it's supposed to be there. Now, a few other little technical things that I want to share with everybody. When I was turning the hub, the rotor down into a hub on the lathe, I took it down, I believe it was 5.85, give or take. It doesn't have to be perfect. I was surprised to find out these rotors, these used to be rotors. They never had a floating rotor over the top of them, but this rotor is pretty much hub centric to this new hub. So the inside, what you're going to need turned down, doesn't have to be what centers the rotor, at least in my case. Now, Corvette brakes, CTSV stuff, any other option I can't speak for, but in the case of the Camaro, in my case, the rotors are hub centric, which was a really pleasant surprise. So 5.85, give or take, on the OD of the hub. The longer studs, I believe the factory studs had a 12.5 millimeter knurl. The longer Dorman studs, I can't remember the part number, I'll put the part number in the description. They have a 12.8 millimeter or so. I mic'd them out, there was a little variance. So the holes needed to be opened up ever so slightly, and with the tools I had at my disposal at work, I decided to ream with a 1/2-inch ream the holes on the hub. That provided, when you do the conversion from 12.8 millimeter roughly to the precise 1/2-inch, it ended up giving me between 5 and 7 thou interference, and it took what felt like an appropriate amount of force on the arbor press. So I'm confident that if you can get a nice precise 1/2-inch hole, you'll be golden on those Dorman studs. And for the bracket, I cannot take credit for figuring out the dimensions of the bracket. I found that through some digging on s10forum.com. I'll put a link in the description below to that thread. There's a guy on there, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he did all the research, he did all the R&D, and he was a godsend for me. And he, I think, did this years ago, and he has like CAD drawings of brackets for F-body Camaro stuff like I'm using, C5, possibly C6 Corvette stuff, as well as a hybrid bracket that utilizes the Camaro caliper, which in all my research has larger diameter pistons than the Corvette. So it utilizes the F-body caliper, but the 13-inch Corvette rotor versus the 12-inch Camaro rotor. So he's got an array of plans on S10 forum that you can pick through, you know, when you're making your decision. I know there's a guy on one of the Facebook pages that's putting together some pretty detailed information on CTSV Brembo stuff and the later model Camaro Brembo stuff. But really, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's a limit, but your options are nearly limitless. As you know, if you have a caliper that mounts to an abutment bracket in this fashion, you should be able to make a bracket that, you know, when you cut the ears off the spindle and drill the holes out and everything, that, you know, your options for big brakes on an application like this are nearly limitless. In my case, for what I'm doing here at my house with this project, Camaro's fine. I'm not autocrossing, no track days, anything like that. I'm just going for a nice, fun, reliable, you know, driver. And it's a pretty cost-effective way to put some big brakes on your truck. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for me. I'm done talking your ear off. If you like what we got going on over here, give me a like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share with your friends. But until next time, y'all have a good one.